Hey, what's going on, YouTubers? This is JBoxing back again with another one. We're going to talk about Anthony Joshua. Is he the same fighter pre-Klitschko? Okay, now, YouTubers, we're going to go back in time. We're going to go back to Anthony Joshua before he had the belt. The fight between Anthony Joshua and Dillian Whyte. That was a very explosive fight. Both guys since then have improved, have gotten better. But we're going to talk about how Joshua looked in that fight and a couple of fights afterwards, and how he's looked since the Klitschko fight. Okay, in that fight against Dillian Whyte, he looked at, he had that explosive. He was using those combinations, and he was landing punches, and he was real aggressive, showed no fear. He eventually got a little bit reckless and got careless, and Dillian Whyte caught him, rocked him, and almost finished Anthony Joshua. But he was able to recover and win that fight. Right after that fight, Team Joshua, led by Eddie Hearn, decided to go after the belts, and they targeted the weakest title holder in Charles Martin. Just remember at that time, Deontay Wilder was the WBC champion, but they decided to go after Charles Martin because they thought he was a little bit more easier pickings than Deontay Wilder. When AJ won that fight, he dominated Charles Martin and knocked him out, inside 2 rounds. Great performance by AJ, as again he showed explosiveness, aggressiveness, combination, and he overwhelmed Charles Martin and stopped him and beat the paper champion in Charles Martin. Okay, after that fight, he fought. I think he went against Molina. Mind you, Molina was a good test as far as comparing to how Molina fared against Deontay Wilder and how he fared against Anthony Joshua. Remember, Molina had previously fought Deontay Wilder before he fought AJ, and he was able to rock Deontay Wilder in the first half of that fight. Deontay Wilder was able to eventually get him out of there and knock him out and stop him, but Molina gave a good account of himself. Now, when Anthony Joshua fought him, Anthony Joshua, steamrolled him, knocked him out, aggressive, went for the kill, and knocked out Eric Molina in the first half of that fight. Great performance by AJ. Okay, after that, he went against Dominic Breazeale. Dominic Breazeale was undefeated. Very green fighter, but undefeated, like AJ, that was green. And AJ fought that fight very, very aggressively, landing combinations, uppercut, and he was able to get hhis punches off before Breazeale was able to respond. And he overwhelmed Breazeale and ended up stopping him, I think, in the early part of the second half of the fight. Doing all these fights, that you saw a very aggressive Anthony Joshua, very aggressive guy. The best combination puncher in the heavyweight division. Great punch, great punching, great uppercut. Guy that was very, 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 very aggressive, very, very aggressive, and very explosive. Then Matchroom decided to match him up after the Breazeale fight. Decided to match him up against Vladimir Klitschko, a guy that was dominant for 10 years without a loss in the heavyweight division, but was coming off a loss to Tyson Fury and a 2-year layoff. This fight between Anthony Joshua and Vladimir Klitschko was a great fight. One of the great heavyweight matchups of that year. Great fight. A great back and forth battle. First half of the battle was won by Anthony Joshua. He was overwhelming Vladimir Klitschko with his combination, his speed, and his just youthful aggression. He was overwhelming, but slowly but surely, Klitschko got going and was able to. Well, let's go back to Anthony Joshua. Anthony Joshua actually got the first knockdown in the fight. In the first half of the fight, he was able to drop Klitschko, and he was looking like he was on his way to a dominant performance. But Klitschko got warmed up, got ready, started letting his hands go a little bit more, got out of the shell that a lot of people have been accused of him being boring, not letting his hands go, throwing a jab and overhand right, and then grab it and hold it and leaning your weight on the guy's back. You know, a lot of people weren't a fan of that, me either. But this particular fight here, Vladimir was more offensive minded as the fight went on, and he started throwing his jab, and he ended up landing a right hand that badly hurt Anthony Joshua. Badly hurt him. Anthony Joshua got up, and I thought he was about ready to be knocked out, but for some reason, Vladimir Klitschko took the foot off the gas and didn't go for the kill. You know, I think he thought in his mind and said, "Hey, okay, I got control of this fight, and I'll just eventually just use my jab, be cautious, and I'll eventually, you know, kind of cruise on to either a unanimous decision or maybe a late stoppage. You know, if I see another opening, he get tired and I can go in for the kill." I think he thought that instead of jumping on right then and there. But what he did was he allowed AJ to recover, and AJ showed a lot of heart in this fight. AJ was able to recover, and he went back to doing things that were successful in the first half of the fight, letting his hands go, throwing beautiful combinations, going to the body, man. He did a good job of going to the body when Vladimir tried to hold on, went to the body, and eventually his aggression and youthful exuberance and aggression was able to overwhelm the veteran Klitschko, man. Great fight by AJ. But what that knockdown did and what that type of fight did to him, especially getting knocked down and badly hurt, I think it had a psychological effect on Anthony Joshua, because ever since that Klitschko fight, he has not shown the same aggression, the same willingness to go through that fire, getting your combinations off, you know, being the aggressive offensive machine that he was before the Klitschko fight. He's a little bit more cautious, a little bit more calculated. You know, as you've seen in the Joseph Parker fight, a lot of people was trying to blame Parker. Oh, Parker was in a survival mode. Parker was, laying back, trying to fight off the back foot. You know, he didn't come to fight. There wasn't that many openings for AJ. But, Molina wasn't aggressive when AJ ran through him. Eric Molina was, he was on his, he was backing up near the ropes, was in a defensive survival stance the whole fight. Didn't act like he wanted to even be there, and AJ ran through him. So just because a guy's not, letting his hands go and he's in a defensive mode or he's in a survival mode, whatever the case may be, you still can, do your game plan that you set out. Be aggressive, cut the ring off, start throwing punches, setting up punches, and throwing combinations, and doing what you can do, doing what you do to get the guy out of there. AJ did not do that with Joseph Parker. Okay, after that fight, he ended up fighting Carlos Takam. As that, started that fight out pretty good. He wasn't as aggressive as he was, but he was controlling the tempo of the fight, the pace of the fight, using his jab, using his height, and he was winning that fight. But as the fight went on, Carlos Takam started warming up, and Carlos Takam actually started putting on a good performance. He was putting a lot of pressure on AJ. He was, trying to go to the body. He was rolling a lot of punches that AJ was throwing. He was showing a good account of himself. But then all of a sudden, the referee, jumped in and stopped the fight when the guy Takam wasn't even in no serious trouble. The guy was, he got caught with a couple of good punches, but there's no way, shape, or form the guy was in any kind of trouble getting knocked out or getting stopped. The referee just jumped in there and gave AJ a fake stoppage. That fight should have never been stopped, but AJ got the stoppage. Everybody was like, "Oh, AJ back. He stopped him. He back to stopping people, knocking people out." Nah, that was the referee that stopped that fight. AJ didn't stop nobody. The referee stopped that unnecessarily. Okay. After that, AJ goes and fights Povetkin. He goes and fights him. Even though everybody wanted to see him fight Deontay Wilder, but that's another story for another day. He got in there and fought Povetkin. Okay, fought Povetkin. In that fight, Povetkin was looking good, landing good, landing good combinations, throwing a good jab, good head movement, looking real good, man. Controlling the pace of the fight. AJ was fighting tentative, cautious, didn't want to really take any chances, act like he didn't really want to shoot off no big punches. He was just in a cautious mindset, a cautious stance. And in my opinion, Povetkin was winning the fight. Especially the first half of the fight, he was clearly winning. As we got towards the early part of the second half of the fight, AJ started, coming on a little bit. But I think what got the fight in AJ favor was Povetkin got tired. Povetkin got tired, and AJ caught him with a good shot, and he ended up stopping him. But to me, that was more of a case of Povetkin getting tired. You fighting a guy that's, I'm not gonna make no excuses. It's a heavyweight. You fighting a heavyweight, but you had a guy that was outweighing you. And I thought, him being an older fighter, I think he's like 39, fighting a young guy that's bigger than him. I think he just, the battling him for 8-9 rounds, I just thought he ran out of gas, and AJ took advantage of it and stopped him. That was a good win by AJ, but it was not the AJ that we seen pre-Klitschko. Now that goes back to what I started this segment off in. Is AJ the same fighter he was pre-Klitschko? I think with this Jarrell Miller fight coming up, I think this is going to be a good test for AJ, because Jarrell Miller has definitely pushed his buttons. He's talked a lot of trash about him and a lot of trash to his face. And then I think AJ is motivated, and this might bring out the old aggressive AJ that we've seen in the White fight, the Molina fight, the Brazil fight, and the Charles Martin fight. If we get that AJ, if that AJ resurfaces, then we're going to be in for a good fight. But if the AJ we've seen since Klitschko surfaces, Gerald Big Baby Miller got an excellent chance of becoming the new unified heavyweight champion of the world. So that's the question that we're going to get answered. That's going to get answered on June the 1st. Will AJ find that old touch that he had pre-Klitschko, that aggressive guy that threw combinations, had a pretty good jab, a guy that, was a very offensive-minded combination puncher, and a guy that was a seek and destroy type of guy that you knew that he could get you out of there. If you landed his combinations right and set him up right, he could hurt you real bad and end up getting you out of there. We're gonna see that guy for the Gerald Miller. Has Gerald Miller awakened a sleeping giant? Will we see the old AJ back? That's the question that's gonna get answered June the 1st when he faces Gerald Big Baby Miller at Madison Square Garden. Again, this is JBoxing with another segment on boxing, and I'll be back tomorrow with another one. Peace out.